Thirsty for popular culture? Episoda, the sparkling channel about all things popular culture. Today's episodes will be quite the spicy one. In fact, we will talk about the fourth and final season of Netflix Sex Education, streaming now on Netflix. Season 4. 4 seasons for this award-winning show, which is quite interesting if we consider that what happened during Season 3 sort of brought the show to a natural ending. But Laurie Nunn, the creator of the TV series, and the amazing staff of writers involved in its development, had a different opinion, and now we'll see why. However, before delving into the events of Season 4, let's try recapping some of the major ones of Season 3. And for this reason, spoiler alert! If you have not watched the first 3 seasons of Sex Education, well, first of all, go watch them now, they're streaming on Netflix. Second of all, do not go on watching this video, it's for your own sake, there'll be quite a lot of spoilers. Now, while the others go watch the first 3 seasons of Sex Education, for those who have stayed, we can start our Season 3 recap. And the first big event, perhaps the biggest one, we can probably agree on this, is that Mordale Secondary closes down due to the fundings being withdrawn during what I love calling the Hope Haddon era. Hope Haddon being the former headmistress who not only publicly shamed some of the students, but also brought the institution to its bony knees. So quite a big event, right? Point number 2, Eric and Adam break up. But why does that happen? Well, first of all, during a trip to Nigeria, Eric kisses another guy named Oba. And then he understands that he wants to be with somebody who is actually okay with being queer, which is not the case for Adam as of Season 3. Relationships and breakups. This brings me to point number 3. Otis and Ruby start dating for a while, but their relationship ends quite badly. And this brings us to point number 4. Otis and Maeve finally confess their feelings to each other, and they do so during a beautiful scene under the rain at a gas station in Paris, sort of making the promise to the viewers that their relationship is finally happening. If it weren't for one small detail. Maeve is finally accepted for a scholarship in the States to attend writing classes. What will happen to this long-awaited couple? Last but not the least, point number 5. Jean gives birth to Joy, a long-awaited child who will be crucial during Season 4. And with this final detail, we can finish our Season 3 recap and we can delve straight into the events of Season 4 of Sex Education. I don't want to make too many spoilers, but I do want to take into consideration some of the main events of the plot and some peculiarities that I have noticed throughout the season. And in this season, new changes and most of all challenges will impact the lives of Mordale's favorite gang. The first major shift, of course, is the new institution, Cavendish Sixth Form College, as the previous one, Mordale Secondary, closed down during Season 3. This new, extremely sex-positive college features a new methodology of teaching, clubs, and most of all, a sex therapist. And no, it's not Otis, but a girl named O. As Otis's new nemesis, not only is she more captivating and charismatic than her awkward counterpart, she seems also to be doing far better than him on the sex therapy side, which makes me think, will this be the end of Mordale's youngest sex therapist? To make things worse, Otis seems to be receiving attacks on all fronts. In fact, on one hand, he will discover the hardships of being on a long-distance relationship with Maeve, who is in the States attending writing classes under Professor Molloy, while on the other, Eric will find new friends at Cavendish, friends with whom he has more things in common than with Otis. And this is something that will make their friendship feebler and deprive temporarily, of course, Otis of the support of his best friend. Something to take into consideration for the challenges of this new season. In talking about Eric, this amazing character will face one of the biggest challenges throughout the season, reconciling his faith with his sexual orientation, an internal struggle that will bring him to hallucinate and see stuff throughout the day while he desperately tries to find his calling in life. And when it comes to callings and internal struggles, there is somebody who is having quite a big one, and that person is Adam, who at the beginning doesn't enroll at Cavendish, but tries to find a job that would be more suitable to his skills. And that's when he starts working at a ranch that would be a key part of his own development, but also of his reconnection with his dad, Michael. And what about the rest of the gang? Well, first of all, we have Maeve, who is struggling to adapt to a life in the States under the tutorship of Professor Molloy, but most of all, feeling that her life in Moordale seems to be slipping away from her, especially when a bad news about her mother comes to her. Then we have Jackson Marchetti struggling to accept his own sexual preferences while also being worried about a potentially harmful condition. His friend Vivienne dating someone who we could address as a little bit too insecure. And our beloved Amy, who is finding her own and biggest passion in life, something that will help her in exorcising the traumas of the past. And what about the adults? Well, when it comes to Moordale's favorite parents, we need to talk about a lot of stuff. So let's start with Jean. Jean Milburn, our beloved sex therapist, will find herself dealing with postpartum depression after Joy's birth. Something that will hinder her self-confidence and most of all make her see her behavior as a house of cards crumbling down. In fact, when on one hand Jean will try and reconcile her job with her motherhood, on the other hand she will have to deal with her own sister Joanna, who is not only quite chaotic, but seems to be dealing with traumas from the past. And when it comes to insecurities and past traumas, there is someone who is quite the expert, and that person is Adam's father Michael, who in this season finds himself struggling not only with his new single life, but also with his sexuality and with his own personality. Something that will bring him to embark on an incredible journey where he will have to deal with his fears and with his son, Adam. With both teenagers and adults struggling with very important matters, there seems to be a lot of material in Season 4 to tell us quite a lot about our beloved characters and close their plot lines. And while this is a short overview of the plot, I want to conclude by making a few remarks about this season. As a matter of fact, Season 4 seems to be closing the circle that Season 1 had started. Think about it. The TV series title is Sex Education, like the subject that we have in high school. And while the first season was codifying itself as a manual, an introduction to sexuality and sexually transmitted diseases and sexual orientations and sexual insecurities for Moordale's teenagers, the following seasons deal with the same topic but with regards to different stages of our life, adulthood or elderly stages. And climaxing, to make a sex-related pun, in Season 4 with not only a more politically correct approach towards sexual orientations and usage of pronouns, but also difficult and yet fundamental conversations about child abuse, rape, and most of all, the stigma and the challenges that there are behind sexual orientations. So as you can see, while this seems to be the final ringing bell for Moordale, and therefore the final page of this beautiful sex education book that we have explored throughout 4 seasons, this cannot be said about some of the plot lines along the season. In fact, I was quite surprised to see some of the characters having their stories left with an open ending, especially Maeve's one and Otis's one. I was surprised because this choice is quite brave, especially when you have such powerful writing behind, but I confide that Laurie Nunn has done this for a specific purpose. So overall I have to say that I was quite surprised by the final season of Sex Education. Positively surprised, as I love the writing behind it, and most of all, the acting, the powerful acting of each of the characters present in it. And again, while some of the endings might have been left open, one might wonder and speculate whether this might also foreshadow an announcement about a potential Season 5 in the future. With this, we conclude yet another chapter of Episoda. If you liked the video, hit the like, subscribe to the channel, and do you see that bell over there? Hit it for more upcoming videos. Thirsty for popular culture? Episoda.